Attention, your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. Apparently, only 1/3 of Americans actually believe Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. I don't know what your opinion on that one is. Also, Comey is being criticized by the Justice Department for violating FBI rules, and the September Democrat debates will only be one night. 10 individuals are in that debate. That's some of the news. Also, President Trump is rolling back environmental laws regarding methane. And of course, that monster hurricane, I guess, is building up to be against Florida. We'll talk more about that. Let's go back to Jeffrey Epstein and start with the Jeffrey Epstein. Only 1/3 believe that was suicide. So what would the other possibilities be? Was he assassinated? But also, you kind of knew the guy was at a suicide risk and you let him off the suicide watch. Maybe that's a form of murder. What do you think? Leave me a message. I'm curious. The Dan Kingston Podcast is a community, so your voice will be included. Leave a message. Let me know what your opinion is about Jeffrey Epstein. There's a whole bunch of people that enabled Jeffrey Epstein. Whenever there's a villain, you're also going to have the enablers of that villain. A monster can't act alone, at least not for very long. They need to get accomplices. And apparently there was a ring of women, is what's being described in the New York Times, that allegedly recruited girls for Epstein. He didn't act alone. It was a ring of women. You can't blame them. I mean, come on. They were in love with him. They were, struck by his riches and his power. It's really, they were taken advantage of. They're victims themselves, right? Yeah, you can't blame. I mean, not in 2019. A woman really couldn't be, a ring of women couldn't be held responsible. But apparently, in this horrible patriarchal society, they are going after these women who allegedly recruited girls for Jeffrey Epstein. There's a bunch of them. The New York Times, that's coming out. And Comey criticized by the Justice Department for violating FBI rules. Comey, the clown. Is he a Democrat? Is he a Republican? He's just a good guy, right? Yeah, he just has everybody's interest in mind, all right? Looking out for all of us, or just looking out for himself. I'll leave that one for you. Kirsten Gillibrand dropped out, so there's going to be 10 now in the debate, one night in September. And what do you make of Kirsten Gillibrand's presidential candidacy? Unraveling. I guess she was asked in an interview, what went wrong, Kirsten? And she said, I don't know. I mean, I could make some guesses. She said she thought maybe her campaign was well ahead of its time. Was she really the brightest of the candidates? I don't know. She was a real far left in terms of the Me Too stuff. She, of course, was the first to really push Franken out. What did Franken do? He kind of pulled a Biden, right? He hugged somebody the wrong way, or what did he do? I don't even know what he did. But she was a big Franken must go. She forgot she was a Democrat for a while, I guess. She just is a man-hater, is what unites her, is more than, I think, party affiliation. The future is women. Yeah, not smart to leave out 50% of the electorate, maybe. Even Democrats, even progressives, I think, aren't suicidal when it comes to voting for a man-hating, smug, narcissist, talentless, brainless, partisan hack that is Gillibrand. I don't know. I didn't really like her, Gillibrand. So I don't think that's a big surprise she dropped out. Who's next?
This is Kingston Country.
Joe Biden forgets Obama's name? You got to hear this clip to believe it. Joe Biden forgetting President Obama's name.
A significant portion of it called Crimea. He's saying that it was President my boss.
Are we supposed to believe that an 80-year-old president is a viable option? All right, so the EPA is rolling back regulations on methane. Trump plans to keep 8,600 troops in Afghanistan. And you got the hurricane that's coming, Dorian. Hurricane Dorian. Florida's bracing for Hurricane Dorian. Now, what about the keeping 8,600 troops in Afghanistan? You know, we've been there for almost 2 decades now, and they're criticizing him for planning to take away troops, I guess, and withdraw from Afghanistan. They'll criticize him if he puts troops in, and they criticize him if he takes troops out. What are we doing in Afghanistan? If there's one thing that will unify the Dan Kingston podcast, it's an end to the stupid wars that we're constantly being thrust into. You see, Iraq was proof the two-party system, it's an illusion when it comes to foreign policy. They're political mafias. They're gaming our democracy. The parties divide and conquer on the social issues, yes. While important, they want us to be distracted on those things. Well, they're having a three-way with the military-industrial complex. See, it's easier to control us when we're divided by our identities as opposed to our ideals. What do I mean? What are our ideals? Well, when it comes to the environment, I think progressives would sacrifice their firstborn if told by politicians it would save the planet, don't you think? The climate hysteria has to come to an end. You imagine everything is Trump this, it's Trump that. Remember when politics didn't have Trump? I don't. You imagine women in their therapy office venting about Trump. They're venting about climate and the Amazon. They're venting about toxic masculinity. That's all they're probably talking about. The New York, Brooklyn woman. Crazy times, crazy times. But don't waste your therapy session on your Trump anxiety. Jesus, just turn off the news. Everything Trump. Trump this, Trump that. But the hurricane, everything's about the hurricane. It's climate change. You know, I guess the cell phones companies are working to have drones and trucks. So you'll still have your Instagram, Snapchat feed, Facebook feed going on during the hurricane. You can keep up. I mean, can you imagine the real natural disaster would be if Twitter went down after a hurricane? Or Instagram, you couldn't take a selfie anymore. That would be the real natural disaster, right? So don't worry, you can't stop the hurricane, but they definitely have those drones with the cell phone service ready to go. And there's so many things that are going to destroy us before climate change. It's such a joke. It's such a joke. You always think, you know, it's the one thing. And you're always so afraid about that one thing in life. You know, it's always like the one monster you're so afraid of. It's never that thing. It's never that monster that you're afraid of that gets you. You think it's climate change going to be the thing that gets you. It's not. They got a huge amount of earthquakes right now in the Northeast, Pacific Northwest. I mean, there's a huge amount of earthquakes right now going on in the Oregon area. They're saying if a monster earthquakes capable of literally ripping Oregon off of the United States, the whole Pacific Northwest. So there's that. Also, Yellowstone, I don't know if you know it. Yellowstone is a super volcano. Some say if that one goes, so does the world. So take that with a grain of salt. Of course, you got infectious diseases that could be naturally released, or it could also be released by eco-terrorists. Of course, you got the climate hysteria, could really encourage some nut job out there. Maybe you've seen 12 Monkeys, and it's not crazy to believe that some nut job, progressive, you know, tree hugger type kind of thing, you know, the kinds that live in the trees, and go crazy. And, you know, it's just like, oh, humans are the worst scourge of planet Earth, and if only humans were gone, it would be utopia. Well, what kind of utopia is it if you're not there to enjoy it, first of all? But second of all, what, we're not natural? We're not animals too? Everything that's happened to us, everything that we've become, has It's just derived out of our naturalness. We're not cyborgs. We're not robots. Not yet. Andrew Yang, of course, will say that we're going to be replaced by robots, and I think he might have a point. So, climate change, I don't know. Is it climate hysteria or is it climate change? What do you think? Do you think we're going to end from a few degrees or from a few giant earthquakes? I was watching a video on YouTube, the power of nature. I was watching an ocean video, the hurricane coming. Like a plane flying through a hurricane. Crazy, the power of nature. And then I started thinking, I was like, how big could a wave get? And I remember seeing a video about a rogue wave. I started looking at YouTube. Do you ever look on YouTube for these crazy, crazy things? And this wave is like 100-foot tall wave. They're saying it can just take out a cargo ship, no problem. 20 years ago, they didn't even think these things existed. Now, they know they're happening all the time. How horrifying is that if you're a captain or a worker on one of these cargo ships? Don't they have a TV show like Tanker Wars or something like that where they're showing these ships and the waves that they're going through? And those are the regular ones. But a rogue wave is defined as being twice as high as a normal wave. Talk about up to 100 feet some of these waves can get. And that can just wipe out a cargo. The biggest, most sophisticated ships we have, the cargo ships, the tanker ships, and presumably our warships, they can't take on a rogue wave. They're not designed for that. You can't design for that kind of thing. This is all from the YouTube video. It was a reputable source. Don't ask me that. I'm good at your skepticism's good. I appreciate skepticism. Whistleblower said the voice assistant Siri routinely records people having sex. You're ever doing something and the Siri pops up or the Alexa pops up while you didn't summon it. It just kind of pops up. They're listening to you. Those cell phones, they have a camera in the front and the back. Why do they do that? I don't know. How come they get such sweet deals with the government, Apple, and the government? Silicon Valley's working with the Pentagon. You don't think they're looking at the people they suspect? And, maybe they should be. Maybe they should be. I don't know. But I wouldn't take the phone into the shower unless you're okay with it being looked at in the shower. They have satellites now of every time you leave your house or apartment or whatever. The satellites can take videos of you. They can take photos of you. They could zoom in on the wart on your head. I don't know. You don't have any warts. I know. You're perfect. So do you trust your phone? Do you trust your smartphone? I don't know. I guess Apple's apologizing for this. Why are so many men afraid to interact with women at work? This is in The Guardian. Yeah, men are afraid to interact with women at work. It's like the entire country has gone back to second grade, maybe first grade. Boys and girls were afraid of each other. It's like them versus us, I wonder what it's like growing up as a kid now, the mistrust, the hatred among the genders. I'm going to end on this. Dave Chappelle released a stand-up show. You have to watch it. It's really funny. It's on Netflix. You're not going to believe it. I know people are shitting their pants watching it, saying, he can't say that. That's not okay for him to say. I'm sure people are going to boycott Netflix over it. That's going to be Netflix is responsible for enabling this hatred that Dave Chappelle is. He's just speaking his mind. He's saying his mind. And you know what? It's funny. And if you don't laugh at it, you have a problem. You have a real problem. And if you do laugh and you do find it funny, I think you will, then you're in the right place.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.